Chuck E. Cheese, the arcade and pizzeria franchise that has both scared and intrigued us all, and one that has always conveniently sidestepped Five Nights at Freddy's. But what if FNAF and Chuck E. Cheese were one and the same? Well, my fellow FNAF and indie horror lovers, I have found something. A Chuck E. Cheese FNAF ARG. Created by the YouTuber Average Pie, this is the scariest start that I have seen to a FNAF fan VHS series ever. And it starts with this video that was posted 3 weeks ago, entitled Chuck E. Cheese Analog Horror FNAF VHS. But before we dive into the mystery and horror of ghosts haunting Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, let's learn a little bit about Chuck E. Cheese itself. The story of Chuck E. Cheese starts with a man named Nolan Bushnell, who was born in 1943. In 1972, Bushnell co-founded Atari, one of the beginning and largest video game companies of that time period. But as video game consoles were being sold, one thing Bushnell noticed was this. Arcades, which was a large place where many of their consoles were being sold to, were located in bars, bowling alleys, and shopping malls, and parents rarely take young children there. And that's when Nolan Bushnell had this fabulous idea. Put the arcade cabinets inside a family-friendly pizzeria restaurant. Nolan Bushnell then created the first animatronic, Freddy Fazbear, and opened up Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, co-founded with William Afton. William Afton unfortunately went and murdered multiple children. Oh, sorry, wrong script. Yeah, you can see how these two stories are pretty similar. On May 17th of 1977, the very first Chuck E. Cheese Pizzeria Time Theater opened in San Jose, California. And after this, business began booming for many, many years until we have seen more recently the decline of entertainment. Now, whether you believe it or not, it was Chuck E. Cheese that highly inspired the world-renowned Five Nights at Freddy's. And which is what brings us to this analog horror. Because apparently Average Pie has his own story that he wants to tell about Chuck E. Cheese. If we look in the description of this video, we find this. Found these old VHS tapes at the old abandoned Chuck E. Cheese. This one is the second one of 4 I found, and its visuals are very strange, to say the least. The tapes cut out at some parts, and at other parts it says my name in these weird sentences. I uploaded them to the Chuck E. Cheese archive just to document some stuff. Dale, June 5th, 2006. So already it appears that this VHS tape that we are about to watch is possibly haunted by some sort of entity. It is maybe trying to communicate to this man named Dale, who has found these tapes in 2006. When we first open the video, we can clearly see a show stage with multiple animatronic characters, namely Chucky in the middle. We also have the Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time Theater logo in the lower right corner, and we are watching a stylish performance of Chuck E. Cheese and his band. As we continue watching, something interesting pops on the screen. A date. Thank goodness this is not FNAF. We would never have gotten a date with FNAF, my gosh. April 11th, 1988. Let's put that on our bulletin board. Moving on, the video continues and the camera pans into a small, dark room, and a man is leaning against a desk. His face appears to have some red substance on it. He looks across the room to see another man, who obviously has been unalived. The scene then pans up to show us that whatever has just happened was captured on security cameras. The screen then cuts out and shows us another date, April 10th, 1988. And this text appears on the screen, the day before Phil's death. So we can only assume that the man who was unalived in the back room was Phil. The scene then changes into what appears to be a pretty beat down bar. There's lots of trash and overturned chairs, and a lone man sitting at the bar himself. We then can recognize this man as the same one who was sitting in the back room with the unalived man who we believe is Phil. This man sitting at the bar then says that he wishes he had something to drink. Now, the chapter that we are watching in this YouTube video is titled Meeting Mr. Rivers and Delilah. The man addresses the bartender as Delilah, so it seems that the man in the suit is Mr. Rivers and the bartender is Delilah. Mr. Rivers and Delilah here go on to have a very weird and mysterious conversation. Delilah tells Mr. Rivers that back in the 30s, this bar was in great shape and the business was immaculate. Mr. Rivers asks why this is important, and Delilah says something interesting here. He says that the owner murdered one of his co-associates to be able to own everything in the bar. Delilah then says that this man was a coward, just like Mr. Rivers. And then Mr. Rivers says this, that he would never have hurt Phil. And so it seems from this dialogue we have learned that Mr. Rivers and Phil have some sort of relationship, possibly connected to whatever business that they are running. And from the looks of it, their relationship has not been very good, which is why Delilah is comparing Mr. Rivers to the owner of the bar that they are at. And Mr. Rivers tries to deny the fact that he would ever hurt Phil. But it seems that Delilah is a little bit wiser and says, Adam, your deeds will be your downfall. And so now we know Mr. Rivers' first name, Adam Rivers. Mr. Rivers then asks a very interesting question. Who is going to be responsible for his downfall? Is it going to be a man named Dale? Now, if we remember, the description for this video is signed off by a man named Dale, who works for Chuck E. Cheese. And so Adam has got to be referring to this same Dale. Delilah then goes on to say that no, it won't be Dale, it will be fate that will decide Adam's downfall. Adam then turns to leave and says he has some business he has to attend to. We then jump ahead in time as another date appears on the screen, April 18th of 1988. This would be 8 days after Phil's death. We then are shown some security cameras in a security guard booth that looks to be at Chuck E. Cheese, with a security guard working the night shift. This security guard is working when he hears a loud banging sound coming from somewhere in the pizzeria. And so obviously he goes to investigate, just like any good horror movie. As the security guard walks into the main auditorium, he's then startled to see Chucky the mouse turn its head in an animatronic-like fashion to stare at him. The security guard is like, what the heck is going on? And that's when Chucky starts to talk. He starts saying the security guard's name. Joseph, it's me, Phil. Joseph, the security guard, is absolutely flabbergasted as to what is happening and what is going on, and keeps saying things like, this cannot be possible. Meanwhile, Chucky keeps calling out his name and keeps trying to get his attention. It seems that Joseph and Phil had some type of relationship when Phil was still alive, because Joseph goes on to say that he really needs him to come back and that he thought he was gone. The camera cuts to seeing Phil in his ghost form as Phil smiles and tells Joseph to come closer. He has something he wants to show him. Joseph walks up to Phil and Phil puts out his hand. Joseph takes Phil's hand and then suddenly it seems his brain is overflowed with information. This text then appears on the screen. Inside the brain there can be infinite possibilities. You can map your own brain. You can see the past, present, and future. Look at everything, Joseph. And so it appears that Phil is communicating to Joseph through his own mind here. The next section of this video is a chapter in the YouTube video called Angel or Devil, the Musical Sequence. This section of the video has music ambience playing over it as it's showing us some parts of the story. There's a man sitting in a back room. We get a little bit of the shot of the man, and it seems to be Adam Rivers. Adam has a saw, and it appears to be sawing away at some sort of arm. However, the arm in the video seems to be rather large to be a human arm, so I'm not quite sure what exactly this part of the video is explaining. We then get a quick shot of a human eye, which appears to be Joseph's eye, as he's in this trance-like state, as Phil, the ghost, is dumping all of these memories into Joseph's brain. We then see the text on the screen, which again is Phil communicating to Joseph, and it says, victims. We then see a pastel shot of a forest with vultures apparently eating and chewing at something that, in my opinion, appears to be something all rolled up in a black trash bag. We see the vultures circling, and then we get an aerial shot of this area, which appears to be either a trash bag or possibly a undug grave. We then see another shot of Joseph as he is taking all of these memories and thoughts into his mind. We then see the text, April 12th, 1988. This would have been 2 days after Phil's death. We then see a car that appears to have been crashed. And in one of the scenes, it seems that the front windshield has been busted out and possibly the driver flew through the front windshield when the vehicle crashed. In the vehicle, there seems to be a lot of human remains. Possibly the driver of the vehicle was driving out to hide the remains somewhere in the woods that were nearby. The scene then cuts back to Joseph as he is taking again all of these memories from Phil. And then some very interesting text appears on the screen. Dale Toy Witness. I still am trying to figure out exactly what this means. Phil then says to Joseph, there is so much one can see before your brain collapses, meaning that Joseph most likely passed away shortly after this encounter with Phil. Now, what do I believe that this story is telling us? Well, I believe it's giving us a lot of information about this man, Adam Rivers. Now, here's the theory that I believe about this ARG. I believe Adam Rivers is either a franchisee owner of Chuck E. Cheese, or in this universe is supposed to represent the founder of Chuck E. Cheese, and it appears he has some sort of business partner named Phil. Now, for whatever reason we don't have information on this, him and Phil are butting heads very badly. And I believe on the night of December 10th, Adam got extremely drunk and found Phil and ended up taking his life. In an effort to hide what he did, he took Phil's remains and hid some of him inside of the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, or took him in his car to bury him in the woods. But for whatever reason, the car crashed and Mr. Rivers flew out the windshield, possibly dying as well. However, in this story, we don't exactly know how animatronic possession works, and it could be that Phil's spirit just simply is in the pizzeria and decided to haunt the animatronic. It doesn't mean that some of him has to be in the animatronic like in the case of Five Nights at Freddy's. But overall, I believe this story is extremely interesting, and I'm really excited to see what Average Pie comes out with in the next VHS tape. So please make sure to go check out Average Pie's channel, subscribe to it, and also subscribe to my channel because I will be uncovering this ARG right when Average Pie releases the next video. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Have a fantastic day.